let me just put out, just make sure everything is fine on my YouTube channel. And I can't spell the word chatting. Apparently I'm painting Warhammer 40,000 models and chating. Oh well, never mind. Such is life. I'm just making sure everything is... There we go. Perfect. So, it's been a while. It has been a while. I have put out that I am live on an Instagram and Twitter. I still call it Twitter. And I thought, whilst I am chatting with you, I might paint up my field gun battery, my artillery for my Imperial Guard army. So there's the cannon, and there's the rocket launcher. The crew are made up. They are ready and waiting to be attached to the model with glue, but I'm going to paint them separately. I wanted to paint all this in separate parts. Now, I will say this camera is not set up for you to be able to see the painting. I do apologise about that. I don't have such a setup available, unfortunately, as much as I would love to do that with you. However, I will show you what I'm doing as I'm going along. So I have a variety of brushes that I am going to use to paint. And, you know, please do say hello in the chat if you drop by, or when you drop by, of course. Always lovely to hear from you. Just making sure. In fact, I will just quickly copy this into my socials, just so people know. And onto my Discord server as well, because I do have an active Discord server. This is a very impromptu live. It's not often I go live, as you know. I might put that under there. Is there anything? Some people have had change around, you see. I've got a new profile picture I created through AI. I've really recently gotten into AI artwork, and it really is, you know, really is something I'm enjoying creating. I definitely recommend it for content creators. I don't know where else to mention it. Might just mention it there so that people know. I've got a few people who might like to join me. So I'm just going through all the self-promo stuff. I know it's not the most exciting thing, but when this is very, very sort of very sort of impromptu and unplanned, you sort of roll with it, as it were. And of course there is no background music for this live. I didn't set any background music up because I just didn't think, you know, it, well, it's not that I didn't think, it's just that I didn't have time. So oh, brilliant, nice to hear from you, Robots of Death. Or as you're known here, Postcards from a Wet Rock. Lovely to have you here. So yeah, I'm gonna model and, well, paint, and because I don't know why, but I do find it easier to focus on what I'm saying when I'm painting. So what I need first of all is, what's that? No, that's copper. I want rust. That's what I want. I want rust, because I don't want these to be immaculate. I don't want these field guns to look like they've just come out of the forge world. I want them to look like they've seen battle. You know, they've seen better days. So it's a very, yeah, I think that's a pretty decent colour. It's sort of like it is literally a rusty brown colour, and it's not metallic in any way. So I think that will be a good, and of course anything else I want to add I can do over the top, so it'll act like a secondary base coat. And of course anything that goes on the base will just be painted over later. So, you know, we don't make mistakes, we have happy accidents, and we learn to work with those accidents. Now obviously, if you're watching me painting this, you're probably wondering why I haven't attached the crew. Well, there's a lot of detail on here that needs to be painted, and if I put the crew in place, you won't see the detail. You know, it'll make it very difficult to paint a lot of the detail. So it's actually easier to paint them separately and then attach them later with plastic glue. I mean, this is a really nice. These are really nice kits to put together. Games Workshop really did themselves proud with these ones. I used to be a Space Marine modeler, but I then went over to Orcs, and I do still have my Orc army. But at the moment, I'm Imperial Guard. I will not call them by their name that they are known as today. It will always be Imperial Guard. To me, anyway, because that's what I grew up knowing them as. You know, that's what their first codex was called when I started playing Warhammer 40,000 well over 20 years ago. And it's what they'll always be to me. They will be nothing else. I am a Tanith first and only player, so I have a Gaunt's Ghosts army, mostly using models of Cadian and Catachan kit bashed together, so that they all sort of, what's the word, combine. So they don't look like, they're more closer to being Vervenhive than Tanith, but obviously Vervenhive is from the Gaunt's Ghosts, you know, Necropolis and that series of novels. So but in my Vervenhive army I also have some which I haven't finished. I did start painting them, but I haven't finished painting them. Leagues of Votan models, also known as squats, because I wanted sort of what's known as proxy guard. So they're not actual guard models, but I don't do tournament gaming anyway. I do casual gaming at my local store, and I just wanted models that would give my army a unique feel. And I thought about getting the Necromunda squats, and that sounds good, doesn't it? The Necromunda squats. You can get an ointment for that. Anyway, Necromunda is another Games Workshop tabletop war game set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, and the Leagues of Votan models in that are known by their old name, squats. Anyway, I didn't want to really use obvious models, so what I actually did was I purchased Age of Sigmar Caradron Overlord models, just the regular warriors, and Sleepy Alien, hello, lovely to have you here. Welcome. I'm just sort of painting and chatting, so you'll see the paintbrush at work whilst I chat. So I'm just sort of talking about my Warhammer 40,000 hobby. So anyway, I didn't want to go with the Necromunda squats because I wanted my League of Votan proxy models to look a little bit more unique. So I got some Caradron Overlord dwarfs from from Age of Sigmar, because they have a sort of steampunk feel to them, and if you know me, you'll know that I am a big fan of steampunk. And what I did was I kit bashed those models with Leagues of Votan models to give them a unique look. And as I say, they're not finished painted. They're still sort of in their purple base coat. The purple will be painted, parts of the purple will be painted over with this colour. So this sort of rusty brown, because this also makes for very good, as well as rust, this also makes for very good leather colour, for a leather colour. So it does have its uses. And as I say, any paint that's on the base will be covered over later anyway, so there's no worries or anything about mistakes or mess ups, because this will also be given gravel, modelling gravel and things like that, so it will all be tidied up, ready for the tabletop. And basically I am painting everything one colour, because later on I will go over in detail what I want to get painted in different colours. So this is like this was undercoated with Abaddon Black, which used to be known as Chaos Black spray paint when I first started. I mean, you had Chaos Black spray paint, Skull White spray paint. It's all now got totally different names, but it's exactly the same. Why change the names? Why? No, I do use modelling gravel. It's very similar to. It is gravel, but it's very finely ground up, so it it. I think I've got an example of it behind me. 1 second. There we go. That is the sort of... It doesn't show up very clear on camera because this camera isn't very clear, but that's the sort of modelling gravel and sand that I use. So that's sand, that's the gravel, and that's the sand. These aren't actually finished either, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some ink washes over the sand to make it darker, and so that at the moment it's all sort of... This is one of my sentinels for my Imperial Guard army. So one of my armoured sentinels with las cannons. Because I could have given them sort of the lighter weapons and things. But I don't really have many anti-tank units in my army. So I have got units of las cannons, and the unit that I'm painting up at the moment, the units that I'm painting up at the moment are very much sort of anti-troop artillery, to try and to give me a bit of an advantage over units, you know, such as orcs or Tau, you know, Warhammer 40,000 armies that are quite troop heavy instead of sort of vehicle heavy. Maybe not so much good against Tau, but because they do use a lot of vehicles, but definitely for good against things like Tyranids or possibly even Eldar. I wouldn't know. Strangely enough, I've only ever played against orcs, because as you know, orcs, Necrons, Guard, and Chaos Demons. Chaos Demons are very interesting to play against because they, like Necrons, they have the ability to return, which makes what should be a quick game feel very, very long. Which is why I'm grateful for the turn-based system. You know, so many turns, and if not enough of the enemy is returned at the end of the game, I win. So the secret for me is to try and keep the enemy pinned, or, you know, keep them from being able to return. So the rocket launcher that I'm painting here now will be very useful for that sort of element. It's need a bit more water on that. But yeah, I've been playing Warhammer 40,000 for quite a number of years. Let's see, I'm 39 now, and it was late 1990s. I started how most Warhammer 40,000 players do, and started with Space Marines, and decided in a way that I wanted to go with more interesting armies, and the orcs, I think it was when Apocalypse first came out, so that was around 2004, and I've actually got an orc stomper, which is like, you know, the Empire, the Imperium has their knights now, and the Orc Stompers actually were the sort of first large-scale walkers to come out over the top of dreadnoughts. So, because the Titans for the Imperium were originally Forge World, and I imagine they will continue to be Forge World, even though they've merged the Forge World and Games Workshop websites together into one big store. Less said about that, the better. It's a bit chaotic still. They've had a few pre-order controversies, shall we say. If you're interested in that sort of thing, I highly recommend. That's okay. It was nice to have you here. Yeah, lovely to have you here. Well, thank you for joining. I'd probably still be on for a couple of hours, so if you find you have opportunity to join, please do. But if not, thank you for joining me, and I really do appreciate it. Just putting the next some. This will probably be a couple of coats because this is quite thin on this one. I may have watered this down a bit too much. That's okay. Might have to put a light on as well. The light is beginning to get pretty poor. Just paint the rockets and the container that they've come in. There is another container for this one, but one of my figures is using it as a base to stand on, so which I liked. I like the fact that Games Workshop are now sort of adapting their models to have a bit more character to them, which is how it used to be. It kind of went to sort of egocentric for a while, and now I think Games Workshop are really beginning to return back to their more sort of character driven. I think I'll go over that with some more rust. That's to wash the brush off. Now, that's dried already. That's nice. That is nice. But it's still a bit too thin on the ground, so we'll let that one dry. And we'll go in again on this one, because there's still some. I want to try and get rid of all the black undercoat that can still be seen. I mean, this could be done with a rust-coloured spray paint, but there's no, and then obviously all the detail could be painted over the top, but there's no satisfaction for me doing it that way. I much prefer to paint by hand. Do the sort of undercoat first in black. I mean, some people like to use white undercoat or grey undercoat. I've got a mixture of models in grey, undercoated in grey and black in my paint box. Basically a box of all the models I have yet to paint for my Guard army, which is a large amount. Pretty much every single unit, including the command unit. And yes, I do have Colonel Commissar Ibram Gaunt in my... Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Colonel Commissar Ibram Gaunt. I fell in love with the books, to be honest with you. Dan Abnett is a fantastic writer. I mean, he's written for Games Workshop, he's written for Doctor Who, he's written novels. Well, he's written Doctor Who novels. He hasn't written. I think he's written a few Big Finish audio scripts as well. I think he hasn't written for the TV series. I know that. I think he'd be great though. What else has he written for? 2000 AD. He was a comic book story writer for 2000 AD. You know, so he's definitely got quite the CV behind him for creativity and storytelling. You know, he's no hidden wonder, and he has created some of the most iconic Games Workshop characters in its history. Obviously, Ibram Gaunt, Colonel Commissar of the Tanith First and Only, also known as Gaunt's Ghosts. Colm Corbeck from the same series. Bryn Milo from the same series of books. You know, he's also the man behind Inquisitor Eisenhorn, Bequin, Eisenhorn. Who else? Ravener. I think he's Ravener. I know he's not Caphias Kane, and I know he's not. I'm not sure actually, but you know, he's written some of the most iconic Warhammer 40,000 characters in the history of the game, and it was his writing and his storytelling that made me specifically want to do a Gaunt's Ghost army for the game. And I actually have the original 3rd, 4th edition metal Gaunt's Ghosts. The new plastic set has Ibram Gaunt with his chainsword, but I actually have Ibram Gaunt wielding the sword of Hieronymo, which he actually gets later on in the books. And I actually think that, yeah, the new kits are plastic and are probably easier to paint because they sort of have that sort of chunkiness to them that the new Imperial Guard models have. But the classic metal miniatures are art in themselves. They are absolute art in themselves, and I am absolutely looking forward to painting them, because I really think it's going to be such a joy. Do you know what? I think I'm going to paint this entire base this rusty colour as well, because then I've got a base colour to work from, and I can see everything. So I think I am going to just put a coat of this rusty brown paint all over the base. Because as I said, anything that sort of gets missed or hit will be covered over anyway, so we can tidy it up later. Well, I am very, very satisfied. That is looking. I'm just going to go and put a light on it. There we go. There we go. There we go. I can see what I'm doing now. So there's the artillery. Still not looking 100% satisfactory. Thing is, I keep going until I am absolutely satisfied. Perfect. And I am satisfied with that. That's looking much better covered. This, not so much. So, nice. I might need to mix that up a bit. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So there. So I'm going to put this on quite thickly this time. And I've had people say, why do you do it this way? Why do you paint? Well, everyone has their own way of painting, and this is my method. I mean, I used to paint on the sprues. I actually used to paint on the sprues and then put the models together, which was very, very unconventional, but it's also how I learnt to do detailing. So it did help improve my painting skills. However, it didn't last. It was a very short-lived method. It was just done for quickness, really, than anything else. But personally, I like, if I can paint like this without keep the figures separate and then glue them in place later on, then that will certainly and at least with these, unlike bolters and storm bolters, you don't have to drill out the barrels. I don't understand, if they can do the sort of heavy weapons models like the rocket launcher and the las cannon and all that with pre-drilled holes, why can't they do the bolters for Space Marines? Why can't they make a mould that allows the bolters to be pre-drilled? If I mean, I don't really see what difference it makes to the cost, because it wouldn't cost any more or any less to do that. But who knows what and I'm sure if he heard me say it, I'm sure Chapter Master Valrak would have something to say. And if you're into 40k and all that, I definitely recommend going over to Chapter Master Valrak's channel. I am a channel member over there. and it's good fun. It is, you know. There's a lot of banter, a lot of shouting. Basically, different factions all debating, shall we say, about who's better and who's scamming who this time and all that malarkey. So, scam rack, scout rack, you know. So, this is looking more like how I want it. I probably won't be streaming for very long, but I don't know how long I've been going actually. 36 minutes. That's pretty good going. I thought I just wanted to get some bit of painting done today. So there we go. There's the artillery. It's probably not as bright as it could be on screen, but it's definitely clearer to see now that it's been painted. There we go. Just cleaning off my brush. And that was Aquacolor by Revel, and it's actually called Rust, and it's flat acrylic. I always use water-based acrylics, obviously. So I use a mixture of paints. I mean, I use Game Colour, you know, ones that look like they're from Vallejo, basically. But I use Revel, I use Rail Match, I use... what else do I use? Flames of War, I use... Humbrol, I use Citadel as well. I do use Citadel. But I have my preferred colours. That's black shade. There we go. We use a bit of the Diorama series Roof Dirt and mix that with. So it's Diorama series Roof Dirt mixed with a touch of dark green from Game Colour. And this will... Game Colour Dark Green is very similar to Dark Angels Green. Or whatever it's called now. I really don't know. Bit too much, but then that's fine. It's better to have too much than too little. Yeah, definitely need some... off a piece of the paper towel that I've got. There we go. And a bit of the old roof dirt, which in theory should give a darker It's beginning to give a darker green. Roof dirt is like a very dark grey green anyway. So I don't know how well you can see that. It's much darker than the previous green. And this is what I'm going to paint the guard of the artillery with now. Yeah, we'll use this one. We'll use this brush. A bit of water. And this is looking very sort of Cadian green. Bit bubbly, but which you'll see in a moment. And some of the rust is still a bit wet, but that's okay because that can mix in with the green and just add to the but again I'm gonna layer that up, so that's what you'll see. I'm just looking at the camera screen over to the left hand side of me so that I can make sure you can see everything, and I'm just gonna paint that. So there we go. And we paint the back of the guard as well to protects the artillery gunner. And this might need a bit more. And just there's some other bits that we can paint as well, like the frame of the gun and the pivots. Now if you are painting one of these and you find that paint gets where you don't want there to be paint, don't worry about it. You can always paint it over it, because if you follow a process like I do, where you sort of paint in layers rather than trying to do everything at once, you can tidy up as you go. So don't try and do everything at once. Don't try and do things like detailing until you know that everything. I mean, these wheels, these handles on the front here, with the, I'm not going to paint them metal until until I am 100% satisfied with the rest of the model. These legs, these legs at the back, I'm not gonna paint metal until, in fact, I'm gonna paint that wheel green. I'm not going to paint that Imperial Aquila any sort of colour until I'm absolutely satisfied near the end. So, you know, it's a nice methodical paint job. See, I've got paint on the wheels, but again, that's fine because we can clean them up later. So if you do like a base coat, if you do your sort of base coats first, and then you can tidy up as you go. So it's, and the nice thing is that gun also pivots, so you can get into various positions that if you had someone sort of sitting there, you wouldn't be able to get to. So that is something quite nice as well. In fact, this brown paint still has enough moisture in it that you can sort of bring it back to life. This rust colour has enough sort of that you can just with a bit of water bring it back to life, and then just paint over the bits that you've mistakenly painted. And again, if there's a little shade of green in it, it doesn't matter, because it just, you know, you'll be going over the top of it in other colours later anyway. So it's not the end of the world. And it's not like you're painting for Golden Demon, the Golden Demon competition either. It's just... Now this rocket launcher is a little bit more complicated because it's also shorter, and I'm just gonna, and because of the way it's positioned, you can't get around the back of the sort of protective shield, so I'm just repainting this with some of the rust to try and give it a bit of protection. Not protection, you know. Coverage, as it were. So that's the artillery gun with the green. And as I said, it's been tidied up a little bit as well. So in fact, it's going to be tidied up a lot. That's actually looking pretty neat. That's it. That's it. I'm happy with that now. Not going to play around with that anymore. Perfect. That gun barrel is dry enough that I can handle it that way. Now, for the green. There we go. That is still... that's a bit more complicated because that's still wet. So, where are we going to paint first? I think the frame of the launcher. So, yeah. I don't know how long this live's going to last. It probably won't last very long, to be honest with you, because I'll probably do the rest of this in my own time, but I wanted to just give proof of life, really, more than anything. You know, show you that I'm still around. If anyone wants to catch up with this live will be still available. So, yeah. And the beauty of this is we can also paint the green, the sort of holding frame and parts of the launcher green, which is quite nice. But I'm going to paint this section green at the back. And this section, I'm going to paint part of this all green as well, with a bit of the rust underneath as to sort of show it's wearing away. So it's a slightly lighter shade of green. And I have had people say to me in the past, "You ruined it. You ruined." No, no, I haven't. There's method to this. There's always method. What might look ruined to one person is success to another. So don't let anyone ever tell you you've ruined something, because what may look ruined to them is certainly not. Emerald Skies, hello, hello, lovely to have you here. Yeah, I'm painting some models for my. I do tabletop wargaming as one of my hobbies, and I'm painting one of my units for the game. You know, I'm not just a storyteller and a voice actor. I have a variety of hobbies. I mean, I'm very much into things like photography and AI created art, model making, painting. I'm also a railway modeler as a hobbyist as well. Last week I was a volunteer steward at my local model railway club's exhibition, annual exhibition last Saturday. Yeah, I didn't. It's not that I didn't get into D&D. It's just that when I was at school, Warhammer 40,000 was the Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 was the big in thing at the time, and I became a player of them as a teenager. And you know, I love model making. I absolutely love model making and painting. It's very, very therapeutic. It is. I really should do more of it on my channel as well as my other stuff, because this year I really want to I really want to expand on what I create and what I share with my subscribers and viewers. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing since I was in my teens. How old? I'm 39 now. I turn 40 this July, and you know, I've seen the game evolve over the last couple of decades, and it's, you know, and I think in a way the fantasy side of things, Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar, has been a big influence on my writing. You know, on my storytelling and things like that as well. There's a lot of elements in that have influenced me in so many different ways, and it's what made me want to become a content creator. You know, I kind of, I mean, I stay out of the thing is, I stay out of the sun. You know, I burn so easily that I've spent most of my life out of the sun, really. I mean, my late nan never looked her age. You wouldn't have thought she was 80 when she passed away. You know, but it's just. Alright, so that's the. There we go. But yeah, it's. Yeah, but you know, I've been doing this for quite a few years now, and as I say, my big passion is my writing and my storytelling and my voice acting. I've been doing that since that started out as a teenage thing in a youth club I was part of, and we started on a little project that never got finished, and that's kind of how I got into creating storytelling, because I wrote scripts back then, and I sort of my phone went off. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I started I started my content because of lockdown, because of the pandemic. I couldn't go anywhere. I didn't know what else to do. Well, I had all my hobbies, but I wanted something different. I wanted something that would allow me to interact with people. That's the thing. Sort of help me to build a new community online, and I'd always been a viewer of ASMR. And I'd always wanted to do something, but I didn't want to go. I kind of never really wanted to go down the conventional route. I'm just letting the paint dry and settle a little bit. I never really wanted to go down the conventional route, the sort of mainstream content creation, and I think that's why I mean, if you follow me on social media on Twitter and Instagram, you will know that my concepts and ideas are quite unusual, to say the least. But that's because I guess I'm kind of keen on, I wouldn't say pushing boundaries, not pushing boundaries, but opening new doorways, opening new creative avenues, investigating new themes, things like that. And yeah, I think that's where everything sort of stems from, really, where you find me today as a content creator. And now, obviously, most people normally hear my voice as a character, so you will hear the full process, because I put my voice through a lot of voice changes. It's not often people hear my natural voice. And there was a time when I used to hate hearing my natural voice. I absolutely used to hate hearing my natural voice. But I think as I've got older and I've got more involved in what I create, I've become much more attuned to my voice. And I'm sure it's the same for everyone else that does it. No one likes to hear their own voice on recordings and things like that, because it does sound different to how we really sound. The way I sound to me is not how I sound to you. That's the truth. I do write scripts, but for me, anyone who wants to take part in my work, in my contents, in my collaborations, I do give them the option. I do heavily encourage improvisation. That's one thing I will always say. I heavily encourage improvisation. If people want scripts in my collaborations, I will write them a script. The only reason I write scripts for myself is because with the characters that I perform, they are specific tones, specific sort of characterizations. Excuse me, slight itch on the nose. And for me, they need to be, for example, my favourite character, Maximus. He is based on me. He is a side of me that doesn't get seen in real life. You know, he is the personality of me that I keep locked away. I only ever allow that personality to come out. Hence why I also do accents, because I put accents on virtually all of my characters. I think, I mean, I can improvise. And I have done it. But there are some aspects of what I create that need to slot into the world that I'm creating. So once they sort of slot in like that, or slot it, slot. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely makes them believable. I think putting a bit. I think that's what makes them. That is what makes them unique and special. That we do pour our heart and souls into what we create, and that shows through every content creator I watch. And I think that's the lovely thing about this community. We really do make everything our own. Once you start pouring your heart and soul into what you love creating and love doing, then I think that makes it so much more special. And this is again going back to my way of looking at things. I absolutely love that everyone who has participated in my content has always brought something unique. They've put themselves into what they create. I actually don't get involved with what they create. I give the I find the way I do it to help my ideas is I'm actually writing a few. I'm actually writing a novella at the moment based around my world. I decided to start writing it before Christmas. I've written. It's coming quite easily, but it's using all the ideas that I don't think will work on screen or in audio. But at the same time, it's also triggering so many other ideas that I can include. And I think the secret is keep a notepad. Just a little notepad that you can keep in your, a little notepad you can keep in a, a carry bag, or by the side of your bed, something like that. And I mean, I've got notes on my computer. I keep all my notes on spreadsheets. I've got a spreadsheet of about, I'd say, nearly 5,000 names from A to Z. I actually list names as I hear them. Excuse me. And I've got names from all periods of history, all around the world, different languages. And that's where I get the ideas for my characters. I go with the name, and then I build the personality. Yeah, I mean, the place names themselves that I create, they're just from slips of the tongue, really. they're just names that I was trying to pronounce, and they came out sounding strange and otherworldly, and I thought, write them down. Anything can trigger an idea. The slightest slip of the tongue, can actually be the biggest influence. The smallest, you might say something and it might not sound right in reality, but in your mind you might think, wow, that would make a great idea for a video, or a project I want to work on. Exactly. Yeah. The smallest thing, and you could be watching. I am influenced by other ASM artists. I am. I obviously, as I've said before, I'm not a conventional content creator. You won't find things like cranial nerve exams or anything like that on my channel, because that's not me. I enjoy watching those videos, and I absolutely adore those videos for their relaxation and that sort of thing. It's just not the path. It's just never been the pathway I wanted to take. I've always dreamed about forging my own path, and that's the truth of it. I've always wanted to create something unique, something unusual. And of course, if you're familiar with my social media, you will know that I am I am very I'm trying to think. When you're trying to say something and your mind suddenly decides it wants to distract you, shall we say? That's just happened to me. So what was I thinking? What was I saying? exactly, and that's why I love your content. That is why I honestly love what you create, because it is unique. You are. I mean, if you ever want to participate in anything, drop me a message. I'm easy to get hold of. You know, I if you're ever interested, just saying. Um, Let me know. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I've got a Discord. I mean, if anyone wants to join my Discord server, let me know, because I will be more than happy to give a link to my Discord. It'd be great to see you there. Um, yeah, of course I know your work. I mean, I've just checked. I have just checked your channel, and for some reason it's unsubscribed me, so I've just resubscribed. But I do know your content. I do know your content, and I think you are very talented, Emerald Skies. You are, I honestly do. Um, but when I do talk to content creators on here, I do always just nip over to their channel whilst I'm chatting to make sure I am subscribed. And as I said, it clearly had unsubscribed because I have been getting notifications of your content. And I'll be honest, I don't. I'll be honest, I'm not one of those people who comment very often, because I never really know what to say. I struggle with what to say. Um, so even if I don't say anything, I still appreciate what you create, and and that goes for everyone in the community, because I honestly, it's just that I never want to sound. It's difficult for me, being because I'm autistic, so it saying what sounds good to me ends up in my head sort of saying to me, oh, that's not, you can't say that, you can't say that to them. And that's how my mind works, and I am doing my utmost to try and be more involved in the community. I am. I mean, if you've seen, I keep going back to my social media, but I am very active on social media. It is like a lifeline when I'm not out and about. I probably spend a lot too much time on Twitter and Instagram, to be honest with you, but it's what I like to do. I do a lot of things on Gencraft. I mean, I've got thousands of AI pieces of artwork that I've created for my content. Unique pieces of artwork that only exist on my laptop. Because if it's for my content, it doesn't stay on Gencraft. It gets deleted. Because it's mine, shall we say. Not to say I won't share it with others if they wish for it, but it's my creative. I've got entire cities. Excuse me. I've got a lot of different things that exist only on my computer. You know, even characters. I mean, you know, we've got... I would absolutely love to collab with you, Emerald Skies. It would be my pleasure to collab with you. If you want to contact me via, so I don't know what let me just move my painting water over the way, because I'll get my laptop keyboard down here so I can type and things. But I am on most platforms. But you know, you can contact me on Twitter, Instagram, Discord. In fact, I don't think I've ever really shared my Discord. And of course, people can have me as a friend on Discord as well. So I'll just do that quick. There's my Discord anyway. Yeah, that'd be great. You could have me as a friend as well. That'd be fantastic to be able to meet, you know, and that's accessible to everyone, whoever wants to join me. Okay, I can do that. I've sent you a friend request so we can chat. I have sent you a friend request, so that's hopefully that's worked. My Discord seems to have gone a bit funny, mind you. I don't know what's gone on. It's suddenly all... I'll sort that out in a minute. But you know, but I have a whole variety, and of course, if anyone ever wants anything. Okay, I will... Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. But, you know, if anyone is watching this back and they would love to be involved in what I create, please, please, please let me know, because I would be absolutely thrilled to collaborate with you and your channel. You know, this goes out to anyone watching back. You know, it would mean the world. And I accept audio, you know, I accept voice acting, I accept visual acting, you know, whatever people want to do. And the thing is, I just let people get on with it. You know, I just let people create. And what they send me, I have never once said, do again. I have never once asked anyone to redo their contribution, because I've always been blown away by what's been created. Everything is just, you know, it is beyond... yeah, it blows my mind how people bring my world to life and just make it so special. You know, if you go back, there's a whole I've got whole playlists of set in my world, and I have never once been disappointed with anything that I've received or seen or heard, or it's all just been just to be able to share with others what I create in that way. It's all I've ever wanted to do. It's the one thing I've wanted to do the most. Share a story and have people involved. Have people. I'm living the dream. That's what it is. I'm living the dream, and that's it. That's what makes it so. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Connecting with people, and that's what I love about being part of this community. It just makes it Matthew, but you can call me Matt. Everyone calls me Matt. You know, it being part of this community means such a lot to me. It really does. And it just I was always, when I was younger, I was always a bit of a loner and struggled in life. And I kind of feel like I found myself with this community, with the ASMR community. It was like a lease of life. I'd never. It was like I'd found my place, or I have found my place, and it just makes such a huge difference. It really does. Yeah, it's one of the best outlets I've ever encountered. And though I've only met one or two people in person, face to face, from this community, I feel like I know everyone. Not on a level of not on a personal level, but I feel like I know people as if I've known them for years. And maybe I have, because I have been watching content since very early years when it all started. But now I'm part of it. Now I am actually part of it. I am creating. I am a cog in the machine. I am keeping the energy, the momentum going. And that is just so special. That is just so. And I think because my brain is slowing me down again. It's telling me to think before I speak, which isn't a bad thing, but everything I want to say isn't bad. It's all good, but it's all just rushing forward. Poppy, hello, lovely to see you. Yeah, absolutely, Emerald. We bring our own, and my my mind is running at 50,000 miles an hour, and it's trying to process everything and it's just, you know what, that's a thought. Yeah. Yeah, my mind has sorry, I'm laughing. I'm sorry. It's it's just the yes, I did, Emerald. I did just make you a moderator. I have a lot of moderators, and I like to. Oh, I'm so sorry. When my mind becomes confused, and it's trying to focus on what it's trying to say, I can't help but laugh. Laughter is just a natural reaction for me. I would much rather. I think I would much rather have that reaction than a negative one. Laughter is therapeutic. It's as therapeutic as the other emotions. But do excuse me if I go again. It's just a natural reaction my body has if I'm trying to think on my feet. Um, it's it also releases a lot of pent up energy. Um, but I mm, You try to think what you are going to say, but your mind won't let you anymore. I make up little songs that don't make any sense. Me? I'm just drinking cola. Just diet cola. Yeah, just sort of. There are times when I sometimes get a bit philosophical in these live streams, and it can get a bit deep. But truth be told, I've always, hugs to you as well, Poppy. Hugs to everyone. Absolutely. Um, 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 hum, 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 hum. Oh boy, what was I saying? What was I talking about just a minute ago? Before I started humming, doe a deer, a female deer, hooray, a drop of... I lost the plot ages. Oh. If you can't laugh, what can you do? It's free therapy. It is. Laughter is the best therapy, and it's free. That's the thing. You don't need to go and see a comedian or pay for a TV license to watch it. You can just find ways that just give you that little boost during the day. Even the smallest amount of laughter is yeah. But yeah, so it's interesting, isn't it, how this all started with me sort of painting and all that, and it's moved on to the talk of collaboration and content creation, which is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I will be honest and say it is a beautiful thing. And I, as a content creator, I really adore, you know, interacting with people. That's what attracted me to being a content creator to begin with. The fact that I can actually be part of something bigger, something unique, something special. And the fact that I would love to invite everyone to be part of what I create, no matter what they do or how they participate. There's beauty in that. There's absolute community. As I said earlier, for me it always has been about the sense of community and the sort of truth. There's a truth to it. And granted, every community has its ups and downs, and I don't think I've ever known a community not to have ups and downs throughout its existence. It's natural. But we merge, for want of a better term. We merge and become stronger together. I believe that. And, you know, the ASMR community is one of the most welcoming, supportive, loving, kind-hearted communities I have ever been involved with. I don't think I've ever met... In all the years since I started my channel, I have never met anyone who has given me cause for offence or cause for concern. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have had to deal with a few ne'er-do-wells. There are one or two from the distant past, but they weren't exactly content. They weren't content creators. They were just people looking on the lookout to cause exactly the blocking. I was laughing about this the other day actually with one of my friends on another platform, and I said to them, I've probably got more people on my... Someone's let their dog out. It's okay. It's strange. I've actually got windows open. It's not exactly warm because I've got a fan. I'm warming up, but I've been aerating. I've been sort of aerating the room just to give it a bit of sort of... It's been fresh air today. It's been nice. Woof. But you know, I was saying the other day that my block list is probably longer than my following list on any of my social media platforms, and it's been so... Because I'm actually going back to doing my voluntary work tomorrow. I volunteer at a historical house for a few hours a week. It's ad hoc, so it's whenever it's convenient for me. And at the moment, Sunday mornings are convenient. Once the real nice weather comes, and the days start getting longer, then I will look at doing other days of the week as well, because I enjoy it. I interact with the public. I share history. I share my knowledge. I love history. I love sharing knowledge and facts and figures and information, anything like that, really. You know, or and history in a way is storytelling. You know, factual storytelling. And as a lover of stories and telling stories and things like that, volunteering as a room guide at a historical house is like a dream come true for me. I mean, if it could become a job, I would be the happiest person alive. Or one of the happiest people alive, because I absolutely adore. You know, I mean, I spent many years working in an office, and I've got to the point now that I've come to realise that office work, I don't think I couldn't work in a shop. I couldn't work in anywhere that's high pressured. I couldn't be a receptionist. Well, the house that I work in was actually built in the a few years after Henry VII became king. So it's a Tudor house. It's a late medieval Tudor house, and it was actually owned by Henry VIII for a while, and then his children when they became kings and queens, and then it went to a powerful family, and so there's about 600 years of almost 600 years of history going back to the end of the medieval. Well, I don't know where you're located in the world, but you know, if you ever find yourself at a place called Knole, Knole, that's where I volunteer. I'm a room guide there, so I have a lanyard and a name badge and everything. You know, it's absolutely fantastic. You know, I only started volunteering. Well, if you ever find yourself coming over to Britain and doing coach tours and things like that, you know, or if you ever find yourself in Britain, you know, drop me a line, because you know, I'm London way, so you know, I say this to everyone I meet online. If you ever find yourself, you know, in the ASMR community, I should say, I don't just say this to anybody, but in the ASMR community, it having lived here all my life, it just becomes second nature. I can understand why other people would want to live here, though, because it is very idyllic. It is very, very I would love that, Poppy. You know, if you do find yourself in London, drop me a message on social media. That would be fantastic. As I say, I really say that mostly to people in the ASMR community more than anything. But what was I saying? Yeah, Britain is a nice country to live in. It it has its ups and downs. You know, it does have its negative sides, but it has a lot of positives as well. I mean, it's full of history, full of, you know, I mean, we've got places. Well, I mean, we've got Stonehenge, for example, going back 3 or 4 thousand years. We've got, you know, Roman places like Wroxeter Roman City in Shropshire, Hadrian's Wall that spans from Cumbria to Northumberland. Northumberland itself, I was actually on holiday in Northumberland last summer, and it's a gorgeous county. I fell in love with Northumberland. We did Lindisfarne. I went with my parents because I don't drive, and we did Lindisfarne. And Lindisfarne is we did the castle. We did National Gallery. Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. Oh, the parks, the gardens. You know, it would be it yeah. It, there's polite gentleman. Not, I wouldn't say not every chap in Britain is polite. Um, some of them have not been raised properly, shall we say. Um, um, I personally would avoid London during football matches, but thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Emerald Skies, Rebecca. Yes. No, you absolutely carry on. You know, I wish you all the very best, and I will be going live again. So you know, there will always be time for you. You know, I will always have time for you. I like to make time for everyone if I'm able to. But please, please, please don't be a stranger. Please do drop me a message on my social media, and we can talk and share ideas, and I would absolutely adore that. Thank you. But please enjoy the rest of your day, and please keep doing what you do, because it's incredible. Thank you. Thank you. I sound aristocratic. Well, I can talk a bit like that, you know, sort of London when I want to. You know, I can put that's the sort of voice I put on for the character of Trajan. Um, you too as well, Emerald. Absolutely, blessings and keep well. Um, but I a lot of people do say I sound posh, but in aristocratic. But I'm I guess it's just the fact that I've always just been I've been raised. I was raised to be polite, respectful. Um, you know, I can talk sort of, as I said, I can talk like that when I want to. But I mainly use that for the voice of Trajan. You know, hello Cleo. What are we doing today then? And then obviously I change the pitch. But a lot of the time, I guess my natural voice, you know, I'm just like everyone else really. I'm just me. I don't try and be. I've never tried to be anyone I'm not, and that's the honest truth. I have never tried to be anyone I'm not. Why you know, except when I'm doing my content creation, you know, why bother? You know, I always say what people see on my live streams and on my vlogs when I do make rare vlogs is what you would meet in real life. In real life, I'm probably a bit shyer. I'm actually probably a lot more shyer, and yeah, I mean, I do have anxiety, which is true. So sometimes anxiety will play a role in that. I guess being in front of a camera and not actually having to make eye contact with someone makes it easier. But of course, it all depends on, you know, I can do Zoom calls quite easily. I can do, you know, Microsoft Teams calls and Zoom calls and things like that. Absolutely fine. But I think if people meet me in real life, I'm actually quite shy, which it might not be so much shy, but I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say things. But that's just me, to be honest. You know, I'm not. There's no pretense. Why try and pretend to be someone when you're not? You know, why? I had someone once say to me, never be your natural self with anyone, Matthew, because they won't like you. And I thought, an awful thing to say. What an absolutely awful thing to say to me. People can decide for them, you know, just because that person clearly didn't like me for me being me, made me realise that other people will see things absolutely differently. Just because they didn't like me being my natural self, yeah, it was a real harsh thing to say to me all those years ago, and it stuck with me. And it was only when I started becoming part of this community that I started to realise that people didn't care about what I'm like. You know, they didn't care that I'm eccentric, I'm quirky, I'm you know, I don't think in the same way as other people. You know, they accepted me, and they still do accept me for who I am. Yeah, I mean, you know, absolutely granted. I struggle. I do struggle, and that's the truth. But I'm living my best life. I'm living how I want to be. I'm building the communities that I want to build. I'm working towards the goals I want to create, and that's really important to me. You know, that is the truth. That is the absolute truth. And I honestly don't think, for me, it's ever been about ego. You know, because at the end of the day, yeah, I'm just. I guess I'm just someone really who just wants to be me. And I can't be anyone else. Unless it's on a script or in a prompt for, you know, improvisation. And that's how it is. Naturally, I can't be anyone else but me. And I don't want it to be that way. I don't want it to be any other way. Yeah. So, I think on that note, it's gone. We've hit the 2-hour mark, and to be honest, I think we've had a good session. I think we've had a pretty good session for once, and I might live stream again at this time of day next week. It's convenient because it's only 6:30, and that's obviously if I'm not doing anything else. But you know, we could try this again. So I'm going to sign off, and a big thank you to everyone who has joined me today. I really hope you've enjoyed this live stream. As I say, I might try again this time next week as well, and we can take it from there. So, you know, I will see you then.